Hello, everyone. Today, I want to walk you through a sample structure and approach for completing an assignment like the one focused on digital and marketing strategies of companies such as Coca Cola, John Lewis, and Metro Trains. The purpose of this example is to help you understand what a well developed business management assignment should look like in terms of structure, analytical depth, and professional presentation. In this session, I will be showing you how to move beyond simply answering questions and instead how to think critically, apply relevant theories, and support your points with credible academic and industry evidence. This sample demonstrates the expected level of clarity, coherence, and academic rigor that you should aim for in your submissions. It highlights how to introduce your ideas logically, develop well-structured arguments, and conclude each section effectively. Now, please keep in mind that this is just a sample for guidance purposes. Please note that I'm repeating it, that this is just a sample for guidance purposes. I understand that each of you has a different set of questions to answer in your assignment and that your topics or companies may vary. The goal here is not for you to copy this content, but rather to use it as a reference point to guide your own writing and thinking processes. Focus on the approach, how the content is organized, how arguments are built, and how evidence is integrated, rather than the specific examples used. By studying this sample carefully, you will gain a clearer idea of how to structure your introduction, bring theories to practice, and critically evaluate real world business strategies. Whether your topic focuses on digital transformation, digital landscape, IT impact, IoT, marketing analytics, data analytics, or innovation management, the same principles of clarity, depth, and clear and critical engagement apply. Ultimately, this sample is designed to give you a directional framework, a clear sense of how to plan, write, and present your ideas in a way that reflects academic excellence and professional standards. So, moving on to the details and the structure of this assignment, we move on to the first part of this where you may notice the importance of formal assignment headers and declarations, including your full names, student IDs, and program titles. So please make sure that all of these details are mentioned as module details mentioned in your first cover sheet. And the submission date is essential for professionalism. The student declaration section is particularly important. It shows academic integrity, proper referencing, and transparency regarding the use of AI tools. As students, always make sure to read and understand your university's academic misconduct policies. This helps students and you avoid plagiarism and ensure that your work meets the required standards. Next, the table of contents is more than just a list of questions. It acts as a roadmap for the reader. Each question should be clearly numbered and titled, allowing easy navigation and demonstrating organizational skills. Proper page numbering and heading show attention to detail, which is a hallmark of a high quality submission. When approaching question one, here are some of the details, guys. So when you approach question one on Coca-Cola's marketing strategy, the sample illustrates a clear structure and introduction to the company. Explanation of the marketing concepts like viral marketing and rebranding, and detailed examples of companies such as Share a Coke. As a student, you should aim to do the following. For instance, define key marketing concepts using credible sources, provide concrete examples to demonstrate how the company applies these concepts. And then finally, you have to analyze the impact on brand image, customer engagement, and sales. So these are a few things which you're going to look at the question one. But remember, as I mentioned, that your topic for assignment one would be different to the one which I'm just illustrating you as a sample. So, but you keep these things in your mind, and that when you have to define your question one, you probably need to think about the credible sources, marketing concepts, and then you have to add some concrete examples to demonstrate how the company applies these concepts. We approach question two, which focuses on top marketing campaigns. Notice how the sample explains why campaigns were successful, what strategies were used, and the role of digital tools here students should emphasize. Critical evaluation. So don't describe campaigns, explain why they worked, what metrics indicated success, and any limitations or criticism. Then you have to talk about the digital tools application. So how these tools been applied. Similarly, you talk about the balanced assessment. So you have to discuss both strengths and limitations, such as high production cost or uncertain long-term behavioral impact. So these are a few points which you need to remember when you're approaching the question two. Then we have a question three, which is on the affiliate marketing. So the sample demonstrates how to analyze digital marketing techniques, explaining the model, how it drives traffic and sales, and potential risks like oversaturation. When writing your answers, you have to focus on. These are a few things which you need to remember when you're doing your question three. For instance, clear explanations of processes and strategies, linking theory to practice with examples, and then highlighting advantages, disadvantages, and practical implications for businesses and for different business models. So these things you need to remember for question three. And then finally, when you approach your question four, which is on location-based marketing, so you notice the structured approach, introduction, a role in customer journey, ethical considerations, regulatory compliance, and case studies. As a student, you should be able to do the followings. For instance, you should organize your response logically, starting with concepts, moving to practical applications, and then ethical legal considerations. So you have to use examples to illustrate points clearly. Incorporate references to support your claims, showing research depth, and then finally you discuss limitations or risks to demonstrate critical thinking. So throughout the assignment, you have to pay attention to the followings. This is very important, but that is related to your university guidelines, which you have to remember. For example, you have to talk about the referencings, use accurate, consistent citations like Harvard. You probably need to check with the Ulster University guideline that if they are using any particular referencing style. So in terms of the clarity, each paragraph should communicate one main idea with supporting evidence, and then finally you analysis over description, which is always aimed to explain why something works or does not work, not just what it is. So, in conclusion, this sample assignment is an excellent guide on structure, critical depth, and professional presentation expectations, but remember to develop your own analysis and examples, backed by research and clear reasoning. Following this approach will help you produce assignments that are coherent, insightful, and academically rigorous. These are a few strategies for when you approach different questions, but remember that this is your questions of your assignments are different to what we are presenting in the sample, but it is going to give you an idea that how you have to approach all these questions in a coherent, insightful, and academic rigorous way. So moving on to the first part of your assignment, so remember that in the first page of your assignment should be this one, which is a cover sheet where you're going to write your student full names, which is a list of students' names in here. Then their student IDs here as well. And then you have to talk about your program title. Then you have module code and title, and then seminar group and campus, and then module leader or seminar tutor name, coursework title, and then finally the declaration. You put up the submission date as well. It could be earlier, and then the word limit. For instance, in this particular case, it could be 2,700 words. Okay, then you have table of contents where you can see the question 1, question 2, 3, and 4, and then finally references. Quite a few of students usually ask this question that do we need to write introduction, executive summary, and conclusion? So my answer to all of them is no. You are not required to write any introduction, executive summary, or the conclusion. This is a very simple, straightforward assignment where you have to start with the question 1, then question 2, question 3, and question 4. For instance, if you scroll it down, you get onto just like at the top, you can just say answer of question 1. You write the title of your question, and then you talk about this. For instance, here is a bit of a detail. In this sample, this particular sample has used some images, some pictures, but there is a problem with that. There is no reference or citations used in here. So when you use your images, please make sure that you use your references and citations. Then it talks about the viral marketing strategy. You can see there are a lot of references and details. And then again, you see the different pictures have been used in here. These pictures should have citations and references. Then this assignment talk about rebranding strategy, where you can see that a lot of text has been mentioned in here. But what I want is that if, for instance, in the middle of that, you see that in this campaign, in this assignment, in this page, the student is referring to 42% of population has actually claimed something, but there is no citations or references available. So please make sure that when you're writing for your coursework, you mention the citations and references. Similarly, these two pictures, no citation and reference, and then some of the further details here as well. And then this student has used answer for question two, and then they talk about the discussion on the question two in various aspects. For instance, favorite campaign, why the campaign was successful, and obviously all of these question followed by the text, which is a couple of paragraphs, headings and subheadings, and makes them, and to have, you have to add citations and references within the text to make it look critical and analytical. So similarly, this is how digital marketing tools made the campaign memorable. So obviously, when you scroll it down, you find that there are different campaigns run by Coca-Cola, and then how that has been adding a value to the business. So similarly, if you look at this one, this student has used ADA model. ADA model, if you use, I have mentioned it quite a few times in the classroom as well, that when you talk about a model, you need to put up the pictorial information as well as how that model is aligned to the business need and how the business have used that model to have an impact on the business. This is a bit of missing in here. Then further you talk about the how digital marketing tools made it memorable, and then keep going, and then you move on to the question number three, where it talks about the affiliate marketing. Again, in these paragraphs, I can see the good use of references and citation, and each paragraph should not be more than 8 to 10 lines. Okay, and should have 3 to 4 references cited. Similarly, if you look at that one, I can see that this sample has to have a lot of effort in grabbing the literature. But if you look at that one, you could have easily made it presentable. For instance, if you highlight this text, you can go on to having this justified, and then you look at that, it looks much better. And please read through your assignment brief and see that what is the font required to be used in this assignment. For instance, I remember that usually in all the universities it is 12 and Calibri, or it's the Arial. So please make sure that you have justified the text. Spell check has been done, and you have checked the grammar as well. So similarly, when you finish your question three, you go on to the new page, and you have a final question, which is the location-based marketing. If you look at this, the sample has got different types of text used, the fonts. So here is a Calibri, and then when you go on to this one, this is the Times New Roman. So this is not in alliance to the presentation requirements of the assignment. You're a postgraduate student, and you need to make sure that the presentation is well aligned, it is well presented, it is rightly justified text, for instance, like that, and it is throughout the text, it is the same font and color is used, and same heading styles are used as well, unless otherwise you wanted to make it prominent. But there are no models and theories used. For instance, there is a model used called ADA, but its pictorial information is missing, and it's a very little information given on that how this model has implemented and impacted on the business. So please make sure when you actually integrate any model into your assignments, you discuss that in a more analytical and critical way. So similarly, you go on to question four. This is one of the pictures this sample has used, and I'm very pleased that here it has used the reference in here. But again, this is not the Harvard style referencing, so I'm not happy about this. So make sure that when you have a picture used, you use the Harvard style referencing, or check with your university that what referencing style they use. Similarly, we have got this table one, where you got different types of data in here. This is absolutely fine. If you, as a writer, as an author, you have created a table to represent the information, you have to say created by author, and then when you say created by author, then you have to write here, let's say this is 2025, so you need to put that into the bracket as well. So make sure that you follow the guidelines for that one. And similarly, you keep talking about different things in here. Again, you need to think about it, like some of the text is bold, some of the text is italic, some of the text is underlined, so please make sure that it is exactly the same style throughout the document. So for instance, in this case, I would have done that as a right justified, go back into 12, and instead of Times New Roman, I think my university guideline says that I need to use Arial. So I will use press bold, and then I will come back onto that one as well. In other words, you can use this tool as well, which is a format painter, and then we can use this one as well. So anyways, we move on to the case examples, and then you talk about different types of examples in here, and then you have to talk about the references. In terms of the references, again, the text is size is 11, font size is 11, and then it is using Calibri, which is again a different font used throughout the assignment. And then again, look at this one. This reference is bold. Well, it shouldn't be the bold one. So please make sure that you follow the guidelines when you are completing your assignment brief. Okay. So in brief, what you need to do is you have 4 questions to answer. Remember, these 4 questions have got different models to use. Be critical, analytical, use 8 to 10 lines of text, put inside citations, in-text citations, and all these references should be listed at the end of the document. And to have a good critical and analytical skill in a document, what you need is you need to have last 10 years of references cited with the text. Okay, so this is what all is about. I hope that this helped you in understanding the assignment brief. But if you've got any further questions, you can please ask me. And then I would say that thank you very much. And if you will have any questions, you can ask me whenever you need to. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the lessons. Take care.